Hey, everybody, it's Donald Schultz, not Nikki Schultz, and I am here because Nikki, our marketing manager, is busy as a bee with our Kickstarter. Can you believe it, folks? A Kickstarter from Plaid Hat Games, unprecedented, selling out from the Plaid Hat Gang. And we currently have live on Kickstarter Wandering Galaxy, the follow-up to the Crossroads hit Freelancers and the grandchild of the Crossroads hit Forgotten Waters. Joining me today are two people whose names begin with the letter J. It can't be a coincidence. We have with us Joseph Ellis. He is our technological whiz kid making the app slap and the mastermind behind that pirate game we all feel the same about, Forgotten Waters. Joe, say howdy.
Hey, it's not a coincidence. It's a conspiracy.
Exactly. And there is no such thing as coincidences, only gullible sheep. And that's something I learned from the designer of the game we're here to talk about, Wandering Galaxy. Also, you might know him from a little game called Minds and Mystics. You might know him from a little game called Tail Feathers. You might know him from a little game called Aftermath. You might know him from a little game called Checkers, because he's a really good checkers player. You might know him from a little game called Stuffed Fables. His name is Jerry Hawthorne. Jerry.
Hello.
There he is.
I'm a little out of place without my hat on because you guys have hats, and you should have told me that because I could have put one on.
I've never not worn a hat, so
you both have J's in your name, so there is no. And then both of Jerry, you and I both are, of course, have little tiny dogs in us, in our houses. So in that way, everybody here has one thing in common.
And everybody's also an outsider.
That's true. That's true.
Jerry, are you prepared for the next 50 years to hear people calling this game Wandering Galaxies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
As long as they're calling it something.
Yeah,
that's close enough.
People cannot. They can't. It's like, it's like my mom going to Aldi's.
The Nintendo
gonna happen.
Aldi's.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah,
you got to accept it.
Yeah, I feel like Wandering Galaxy to me has always been such a catchy name. I never foresaw that being an issue, but for some people it is Wandering Galaxies, plural. That's true. We're gonna really confuse it by making a sequel called Wandering Galaxies, plural. Yes. And then they'll be like, "Why they already made this game?"
Like Aliens.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just put an S on the end of the word galaxy and then turn the S into a $sign, and that's the pitch.
Or
ever
similar this summer, right? Twisters.
Have you ever heard that maybe apocryphal famous story about James Cameron with Aliens? The pitch meeting for it was he goes into the room with all the executives or whatever, and on a whiteboard he just writes the word alien and then looks at them and then puts an S and looks at them and then turns it into a $sign and then goes, and he goes, okay, any questions?
That's not true.
Yeah.
But that's a good story.
Yeah, but I invoke it a lot. So just if that's good lore for everybody to know going forward. Speaking of $signs, Jerry, Wandering Galaxy, our goal was to make $20,000 by the end of this at minimum to get the game made. And as of just this second, it is currently sitting at $55,505. Jerry, how do you feel about the letter 5?
Well, it's becoming my favorite letter.
Did y'all spend yesterday just refreshing the page over and over like I did?
Yeah, a lot of it. And doing math to try to figure out where we would be by midnight, even though I could have just waited till midnight.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry, how were you? How was your day yesterday?
Yeah, it was a anxiety-ridden day, but it was also a day of relief too to finally get this thing rolling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just refreshing over and over and over again, watching the number go up. The number goes up without refreshing, but it goes up better when you refresh.
I know, but I can't help refreshing. It's totally pointless for them to put that auto counter on because it's not going to stop me from refreshing.
Yeah, and I'm looking at all these like websites that are like explaining how you do the math to project, and using KickTrack and all these tools to try to figure out where it's going to land. And of course, when it's only been live for 2 hours, there's just literally no data there to be accurate. So I'm just like, but it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. We have not used Kickstarter before, haven't used crowdfunding before. Jerry, what made us come to this? Why have we lowered ourselves into the pit of capitalism and started just selling our games to anyone who wants them rather than people who know about it?
I think that's just where the consumer energy is right now in the industry. That's where everybody wants to shop for their games, and that's there's an entire market of people that only do crowdfunding. That's basically their source of news for board games. It's their source of finding new board games and stuff. And the older traditional ways have sort of receded into the background. So we are joining we're just going where the energy is.
Yeah.
Even I think even in the traditional retail spaces, I suspect crowdfunding is relied on. Like, you have a better chance of a person walking into a store and picking up your game if they're like, "Oh, I remember when this was on Kickstarter, and then later I saw the review was good and I regretted not getting it. Now I can get it."
Yeah, it's a marketing engine. It's we've had so many people at conventions come up to us and say like, "Oh, I never saw the Kickstarter for this." And so now when they say that, we can roll our eyes at them instead of go like, "Oh, that's okay." We can be like aggressive.
If you think about the logic of it, here's one way to think about it. People assume that all board games must be made on crowdfunding, which means they assume that people making board games don't have enough money to manufacture a game up front.
Right.
Which means that they think anyone who had any amount of real money would never bother to make a board game.
Right.
And we were saying, no, really, we want to. We could do something else with this capital, but we're making a board game.
And it seems like it's working, Joe. You're a math guy. You know about numbers. We're currently sitting at let me refresh this page, 55,755.
We haven't lost. We have the same number of fives. We have not lost any fives.
Yeah. What is the pace? What is the pace for the Kickstarter compared to our usual rollout? Like, if we were to compare this to like freelancers, how would this compare?
Compared to our last couple games, and Freelancers was a successful product. We're working on the reprint, so it's not even like. But
I feel like we all felt like with Freelancers, we did everything we could have done to get that game in front of people.
And yes, and on its own merits, it punched its way to people's hearts without the benefit of hype, basically.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right.
But I mean, it took many weeks to
get where we are.
I think we had 400 backers in like about 3 hours or 2.5 hours yesterday. And that was over a month of the Freelancers pre-order campaign, which I don't know about Nikki and Kendall, but for me, it was way more work to market Freelancers.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so back in the day, we had, Dead of Winter, 3,000 pre-orders, Dead of Winter, The Long Night, 3,000 pre-orders, Seafall, 3,000 pre-orders. Other games, might get more, 1,000 or less or more. And then that just sort of over in this new era it really seems impossible now. There's a couple companies that do it, but one of them, Stonemaier Games, built their following on crowdfunding first.
Right.
And it just didn't. Yes, I can't believe this is just a regular. Right now, this looks like a regular Kickstarter. Okay, so I hope everybody listening is eager to hear about business and stuff, because we're talking a little inside baseball stuff. This is just a regular Kickstarter. This isn't blowing up.
Right.
It doesn't look like it's going to become some huge thing.
Right.
But it's nonetheless, it is like easy mode.
Right.
On trying to market a game compared to what we have been doing since 2020.
And it's like Jerry said, this is where the eyes are. It's where the energy is. But now I think part of the reason that those numbers might sort of look like that is we decided to not do any stretch goals or Kickstarter exclusives or any doodads like that. Jerry, you want to talk about that a little bit? I've seen some people in the comments on the Kickstarter be like, hey, where's my goodies? Which is a fair enough question. Tell me about where are them goodies at?
Well, we've had these discussions in our company for years. We have ethical concerns about campaigns that are run on triggering people's fear of missing out on all the goodies and stuff. And so we've always known that if we ever did turn to Kickstarter, that we would not run a FOMO campaign. We would just put our product out there using the marketing tools that that Kickstarter provides. Put our product out there, but it's essentially the same basic product model that we've always done. It's just using a different platform to get it in front of people's eyes. So we don't have any of that stuff, although we also know that people love all those little extras and all those little things, and it does generate a lot of energy. We might be missing out on some of that energy, but at least we're running a campaign that matches our sensibilities.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Whenever I look at a Kickstarter, I don't back a ton of games on Kickstarter. I usually go to my friendly local game store for my games. But when I do, and I'm looking at them, I often get a little confused or overwhelmed by all of the okay, so which version do I need to get this thing? I don't actually care about these other things. Do I want to spend an extra $20 to get acrylic, torches for my guys or whatever? But I will say that when we hit our goal, I did start refreshing the page less because there wasn't a meter that was filling up that way. And I'm sure that has sort of a similar effect on people who are, talking about the game online and buying the game is after, it's like, okay, cool. Well, it seems like I'm going to get it. Bye or whatever. So that seems like that stuff does work because I felt it firsthand from the other side where it's like, I've still been refreshing it, but maybe now once every hour rather than once every 10 minutes. And I feel like, so that it's an interesting phenomenon that this stuff kind of capitalizes on. But I do think that for people who sort of have questions about that, we tried to give them something, which is that the game is $10 cheaper if you back it on Kickstarter. If you buy it directly from us, not only are you going to get the game first, but you're also going to get the game. You're going to get the game early, and you're going to get the game cheaper than MSRP. So hopefully that means something to somebody.
And you get bundles, and you can buy entry books if you want.
Yes, entry books. Entry books are something people have been asking for a long time. It's something we've been talking about doing for a long time, but it takes a little bit of time and energy to figure out how to do it. But for not just Wandering Galaxy, but also for freelancers and Forgotten Waters, you can now get a book with all the entries in it, so you don't have to use the app. So for some people, I know they're setting up like an apocalypse bunker, or they just don't want to look at an app, or they want to hand the game down to their grandchildren. They will now have the ability to play the game without looking at a ding dang screen if they do so please.
That's something that the platform allows us to do. So that it is opening up some of these doors for us, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that for most people, that I think that's peace of mind. You know, it's because a couple of my friends I've mentioned it to, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, people want that, and I was surprised that they're like, huh, actually, that makes a lot of sense to me. I might get that. So it's you know,
because you don't want to buy a game and then the website goes down because you know Joe has a heart attack and nobody knows how to log in, and then suddenly you have this game that just literally doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it definitely makes people feel better about their investment, not meaning a financial investment, but just of the things they care about, the stuff that they're getting that they're gonna be happy to own.
Yeah, and I think time away from screens is something I always value. So I don't just, but as the guy who does the sound on the app, I would encourage you to just use that
because he worked hard on it.
It's working really hard on it. Sorry, there's a little doggy barking.
There's some other things that like behind the scenes that the public probably wouldn't know, but we had tossed around ideas for possible stretch goals and things like that, because that's how many Kickstarters are run. So I was tasked with designing additional content for the game that we could use for such a purpose. But when it finally came down to it, we just decided to put all that stuff, all that additional content, just put it right on into the box instead of doing any of the other shenanigans that Kickstarters are known for. We just put all that extra content, just added it right to the product. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing, the way that developed.
And something too that I think was important to us is that we do a good job of delivering the thing, and making that process clean and fast for the end consumer, because I think we've all had experiences with crowdfunding where we back something and then it doesn't show up for years, or it doesn't show up exactly how we expected it. And for our very first one, we're trying to establish ourselves as a company. We've been long established in the industry, with lots of very beloved games, but as far as crowdfunding, you want to show you can deliver on these things. So I feel, at least from my simple little brain, I feel very comforted by the idea that we don't have a bajillion different combinations of I sent the wrong tokens to all of these backers. It should have, it'll be very clean and quick and efficient, hopefully.
Yeah, we have, even though we've been around, crowdfunding is bringing us new customers. So from their perspective, we're newbies who need to prove themselves.
Right. And if you are new to the Plaid Hat Games ecosystem, hey, welcome. We are the cool kids in the board game industry. So you're part of the cool club right now. Was there any sort of unexpected hiccups yesterday? We're a pretty transparent company. Did we have any exciting lessons learned already?
Nothing interesting that I know of.
There was the sleeve issue that we had.
Sleevegate. Sleevegate. Yeah.
Mixed messages on our campaign.
Yeah. Nikki, you're not on camera. You can't talk. Nikki is over there furiously talking to people, trying to help them through Sleevegate, a problem that lies solely on her shoulders. No, on the run up to this, everybody looked at the Kickstarter, looked it over, made sure everything was right. And we also sell sleeves. Plaid Hat has great sleeves, actually, much better than you would expect. And we mostly do it. We make card games and stuff, and so it's mostly I I don't want to say a service, but we're not a sleeve company. We're not making a ton of money on these sleeves. It's a really good price for the quality of sleeve that you get, and those sleeves will fit with this game. And so for Wandering Galaxy, we have you can back and add on the exact amount of sleeves, but because we have them, it was supposed to be US only. It was supposed to be a thing that you would only get if we were sending it to you, because our partners in other continents, we don't want to have to mail them giant boxes of sleeves to put in boxes. But we accidentally all missed that you could do that from other countries. So even though it says US only, people in other countries can get the sleeves. And we talked about it. We're going to do our best to honor it for those who we can honor it for. And if we can't honor it for you, you will be offered a refund or a picture of my belly button, whichever you prefer. So I imagine most people will go for the picture, which is
imagine so, yeah.
Free money.
Yeah. Is that going to be an NFT?
Yeah.
The NFT?
Yeah, it's an NFT. Jerry, how mad were you when you saw Nikki messed up the sleeve situation on the Kickstarter? I see there's a lot of broken stuff behind you.
Yeah, I was furious. I broke a bunch
really mad.
of stuff, and it's a good thing Nikki wasn't here.
Yeah, if that's the biggest issue we have, then I think it's gonna be great.
I'm really, numbers aside, I'm really pleased by the positivity and the comments and of people around it. It's so far, we're 24 hours in almost. So far, it has not been the nightmare I imagined. It's a lot of work, and I'm not doing most of that work. But it's not the nightmare of torture that you sometimes see in Kickstarter campaigns.
Yeah, I will say, so one thing we're trying to do with this is be kind of transparent and just be real with y'all. And the sort of behind the scenes in the board game industry, whenever you talk about crowdfunding, people are always just like, oh my God, people are so entitled and annoying and blah, blah, blah. And so we went into it kind of a little nervous, but everybody's been really nice so far. No major meltdowns. And I think, part of that is that we're maybe just approaching it in a very thoughtful way. Hopefully, maybe that's on our end. Maybe we just have a great community. I don't know. But so far, I haven't seen Nikki cry. So it seems like it's going pretty well.
We could definitely have better quality backers is what we have.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, you're one of the good ones.
That's right. The people giving us money.
Yeah, the people who give us money are good. The people who give other people money are bad.
Maybe you could theorize that a slim campaign that doesn't have posted all over it, Kickstarter exclusive, is selling people less on I think this is almost kind of past its prime, but the sentiment that I'm going to get this CMON game because if I don't like it, I can sell it for triple.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens anymore, but for sure campaigns are still sold that way.
Yeah.
In their marketing. So I can definitely see how someone would feel more entitled if they're being sold by the company on a soft sell that it's kind of a financial investment and that it's going to retain its value. Then you would have a lot of it would make more sense to have a lot of concern about very small details.
Yeah, and the anxiety that sort of builds up in the background of a campaign where there's a million things to unlock and all that, I think just changes the energy. I assume. I haven't ran one of those really. But I assume that it brings a different sort of frantic energy to the vibe that could probably be infectious. Because, internet comments, they don't always have context or tone in a way that so things can maybe start to snowball in those communities, if that's what you want to call it. So I mean, it's going pretty well. I'm feeling good, Jerry. any final words for this little sort of micro update thing?
I'd just like to thank all of the people who've supported our campaign. It seems like the energy in our campaign and the comments that we get from the backers has just been wonderful. So
yeah,
my gratitude, and just tell other people about us. If you know more people like yourself, then tell them about us.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, maybe also, Jerry, actually, we could all do this. We're all working on this. Like, also, what are you working on currently? Because even though we have finished the physical game, there's still tons of work to do. The game is still in development.
That's good. Yeah.
I am currently writing. So the game comes with 71 different jobs that you can get and go on, and in the game you're trying to pay off your ship. You're trying to pay off your little old broken down ship, and in order to do that, you have to take on all these different jobs in the galaxy, and the dangerous jobs that other people don't want. And there's 71 of these jobs, and each of them is like a little mini adventure. And I've written about 60 of those so far, and I just have a little bit left, and that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm also actively playtesting these jobs as I'm working on them. So it's this dual thing that I'm doing right now, and I'm just basically nose down on that.
Cool. I know for me, I am actually working on the Freelancer's entry book.
Yeah.
One of our add-ons, because Colby did the Forgotten Waters book completely by hand, just brute forced it. So we're trying to, I'm writing some code, since it all is in code already, to sort of do some of the transformations that he had to do to make it work in a physical book in Freelancers, and then he'll hopefully be able to take that in InDesign. Been Googling grep searches in InDesign.
Yeah.
And things like that for how to transform things and get it all more convenient into the style, and probably more error-free that way too, to do it by code than by hand.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
I'm working on audio for the app. Been working with Elizabeth Maxwell, the narrator, working with Bryn April a lot, who voices Cena. My friend Nazee Tarsha, who's Cook E. You might know him from past games. Been working with all these different talented people, and then editing and putting it together and adding sound effects and sort of trying to make the mix nice. And getting the Gen Con demo ready. We're going to have a special. If you're going to Gen Con, you'll be able to play a special demo of the game that is specific to conventions. So the game won't be out. You won't be able to buy it there. But if you want to try before you buy, or try after you buy, but not the full game try. I don't know how to phrase that in a cool way, but you know what I mean. We're doing that. Come by our booth at Gen Con and check out Wandering Galaxy, and you'll get to play a little game. I've been working on some of the audio, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, one thing I love about the audio is that I feel like that there's a lot more wonderful, like, science fiction sound effects thrown in there that really, I just love all the different sound effects and stuff. So I can't wait for people's reaction when they play through it and they get all that audio.
Yeah, I want to do an episode, do one of these updates with maybe some of the voice cast and talk about the audio a bit. But one thing that's been fun for me is that, Familiar Tales, Freelancers, and Forgotten Waters, these other games have all been set in sort of a pre-industrial era. So it's mostly swords and wood and dirt and magic
Lots
and
of
stuff
dirt.
like that. Yeah. Whereas I get to use sci-fi sounds in Wandering Galaxy and try to sort of create a palette that is specific to that sort of version of sci-fi that we're doing. So yeah, I hope people dig it. I hope people check it out. There's a sample on the Kickstarter page. If you scroll down, Nikki put up a little sample clip if you want to check out kind of how it's sounding so far and get a little glimpse of how the app is looking right now. Everything is, of course, subject to improvement as we sort of continue to work on it. But I think people are going to dig it. I think they're going to like it.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is just a little quick update that we're doing. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be continuing to do these throughout the campaign. Thanks so much for sponsoring the game. Again, this stuff has been, a long time coming, and it is a huge task for everybody with a lot of risk, and we're all trying to sort of, find a path forward for, our company, our friends, So this is great seeing the game doing well on Kickstarter. There's always an inherent fear that just no one will care. And that has not been the case. I'm going to go ahead and shout out Ginger and Paradise for being the first person, it looks like, to leave a comment on the Kickstarter yesterday. So good for you. I don't want to maybe call out whoever was the first person to buy the game. I don't know who that is, and I don't know, maybe they'll be like, no, I'm a spy, I'm supposed to be in deep cover, you shouldn't have said my name on the internet. But thanks to everybody who has supported the game, and bye-bye.
Bye.